Following his first election to the office of mayor of Marion in mid-April 1963, Bob Butler had told a reporter that his first priorities were the city's finances and a number of water issues. One water problem certainly would dampen his first day in office. Bob and his new council were to be sworn in at 7:30 p.m. on Monday, May 6, 1963. Thousands thronged the public square that evening, according to a report in the Southern Illinoisan, but they weren't there to watch an inauguration. Long before you could get a pizza pie in this building on the northeast corner of the square, it housed City Hall. In this building, a swearing-in ceremony took place during an abbreviated meeting. The meeting was shortened by the awareness that a full other side of the square was on fire. While the new mayor and commissioners sweated out their oaths of office in suits and ties, they could look out City Hall's windows and see that a growing crowd of bystanders were watching a growing blaze. The Southern Illinoisan described the evening as balmy and 70 degrees with a heat index made a tad warmer by a fire that was incinerating most of the southern side of the square. After rushing out to join onlookers, outgoing police and fire commissioner Robert Urich quipped that he was leaving office in a blaze, but not glory. Faulty wiring, weak water pressure, and an undermanned fire department soon led to the destruction of 3 buildings that night. 14 other fire departments sent crews to assist, and a married couple from Mount Vernon drove down to catch a view of their city's new high-rise snorkel truck in action. However, Marion Fire Chief James Dungy said firefighters were hampered in their battle by an insufficient amount of water. Although 8 pumper trucks responded to the scene, only 5 could be used, and only 2 pumpers were actually connected to hydrants on the square. The other 3 had to connect elsewhere. Dungy later would call that 8-inch water line woefully inadequate. The fire had begun in the basement of the Goss Home Furnishing Store, located on the eastern corner of the intersection of the square between East Main and South Market Streets. Now, 60 years later, business owner John Goss could state the exact time he detected a problem.
I can tell you when it happened, 5, May 6, 1963. That's when it happened, exactly the time. Because I thought I smelled a little smoke, and it was too flooded in the basement, and I stuck my head in the basement. I could see the smoke coming down that ceiling. And I ran out the door to one of the people at the shoe store. I said, "You need to get out. There's a fire underneath it." They went under their building. And by the time I got back, it was engulfed in flames. It was just a tinderbox waiting to go.
The night of the fire, Goss watched volunteers help retrieve some of his stock in an adjacent warehouse that later burned. He was quoted as saying in the paper, "If I have anything left, I owe them a steak." He added that one little guy was carrying a 350-pound air conditioner that was bigger than he was. The Goss business lost $75,000 to $100,000 in stock and supplies that night, including the day's receipts. His landlord, the General Shoe Company in Nashville, Tennessee, lost his building and the shoe store, K-Shop, next door. 5 other businesses and 3 apartments were destroyed in what was the worst fire in Marion's history, with damage estimates at $1.5 million, which would be equivalent to more than $13 million in today's dollars. Other damage caused by the May 6, 1963 fire included the destruction of Cox Hardware and Furniture, located east of the shoe store on the square, Farley's Barbershop, Southside Tavern, Lampley Electronics, and Bearings Service Company, all located just south of the square and behind the Goss, Kays, and Cox buildings. One apartment above the Goss store and 2 others above the tavern were also destroyed. The tavern's owner, Sam Barbero, lived in one of his 2 apartments and suffered a heart attack in the midst of the commotion. In addition to turning Bob's swearing-in ceremony into an afterthought, the fire affected the Butler family in other ways. The Butler family owned the Marion Insurance Building across East College Street, just south of the Inferno. A wall from a building across the street fell and knocked in the Butler Building's north side. Bob's law office was located there, along with his brother Bill's insurance business and his father's news agency, which circulated the Marion Daily and other papers. Just a week earlier, a storm had leveled a house that Bill Butler had under construction. Now his insurance office was caved in. Nevertheless, by midweek, Bill displayed the Butler stubbornness and advertised in the daily paper that the Marion Insurance Agency and Butler News Agency are both open for business in the same location. The wall at the Butler building was soon repaired, and the building survived and remains in the Butler family today. The fire finally was extinguished at 10 p.m. that Monday night. Needless to say, the new mayor had the smell of smoke on his clothes and plenty on his mind. The downtown had suffered the third fire of great magnitude in recent years. In fact, Homer Butler had been the city's fire and police commissioner when a previous blaze burned down the east side of the square in 1941. The stately Goodall Hotel went down in that fire, and in its place came a building that housed the W.T. Grant department store and, later, a new location for Marion City Hall. The new mayor, Bob Butler, and some city officials were soon flying to Washington, D.C. to check on an application for a grant to upgrade the city's water system. After the visit, and with the help of Congressman Ken Gray, a $544,000 Public Works Acceleration Act grant was almost instantly approved, and the city went to work building a raw water pumping station and installing a 500,000-gallon water tower and 21 new and bigger water lines. A year later, another fire would damage the buildings that the Swinford Media Group now occupied, then the Walkers and Klein & Vick stores. Thanks to a better water supply for the fire department, those buildings survived, and we are grateful for that. At Swinford Publications, we are working with the Butler family on a book, and the script for this video was actually drawn from Chapter 3. Watch for more on that future book release. Thanks to Sam Latuka and his Marion, Illinois Historic Preservation website for some of the background information and photos used, and to the Arcadia Wealth Group for underwriting all our Turning Back Time segments. For the Marion Star Live, I'm Bill Swinford.